extended metal familia out there. You are watching Rob's MetalWorks tonight, and we are continuing our endeavors to bring you the best in Texas metal. And yes, brings me great pleasure to welcome one of the brightest vocalists in the Alamo City. And this conversation has been in the works for quite a while, and it is fate, true fate, that I have with me tonight the man, Roger Trevino, here on Rob's MetalWorks. Roger, what a pleasure it is to finally be able to talk about all your musical projects.
Hey, it's more than an honor, man. You have no idea. This is like a dream come true. We talked about this so many times, and I'm you have no idea how happy I am to be here. I was nervous for the past week, talking to myself in the mirror, thinking you were looking back and just, hell, what is he gonna ask me? Oh yeah, I had a natural. I was coming up with all this stuff. So yeah, it's been awesome, man. It's such an honor, and I'm thankful.
You know, I use the word fate because, I've known about you for a long time. And, it seems like this past year, as we continue to support local music, that now I'm finally seeing all the, and I always use the word young cats because I'm an old cat, but, all these young musicians who I knew back in the day, as, teenagers and in their 20s, and now coming into their own in their 30s, those of us who continue to persevere in music and not give up on our art, really shining through, and you're definitely one of those people, man. Obviously, there's people who watch our program from all across the country and world. So for those people, let's talk about your early beginnings. I think most notably, people know you from the old school SA band, White Rabbit band, Hazik.
Yeah, man.
So talk a little bit about how you kind of started this musical journey from back at that time.
So I was singing for Hazik, and we were kind of around when San Antonio music was at its prime. Yeah. The Rabbit was every day. Didn't matter who was playing. You know what I mean? And we got lucky to be surrounded by some of the greats, man. And they really embraced us. The music scene back then was such a it's getting back to where it was, but I mean everyone was like a family. You had bands metal bands like Meek. Metal bands like Low Key playing with Meek. Yeah. Everybody playing with everyone. We just had a good time. And luckily we got to be around that. And Hazik was the first band that was kind of crossing into that metalcore, new metal here. Mm-hmm. So we got lucky. We got to play with a lot of different people. And again, it didn't really matter who we played with because the Rabbit was the Rabbit. And we put out a couple of demos, a couple of EPs. The last one that we put out was with Mac, and that's how I met him. And that's kind of how everything happened. That was about 15 years ago, man.
I don't think I have those. I'd really love to have copies of those. Please send them to me. Absolutely. Yeah, that's amazing. What are your fondest memories of that time? Was it more like the artistic part of making music? I don't know how involved you were with the writing for Hazik or with Hazik or who the other players were in that band, or was it more like just the brotherhood of the scene?
It was the brotherhood of the scene for sure. Yeah. And it was because people were going to the Rabbit and going crazy, and mosh pits people were stage diving. They thought they were treating you like you were Metallica every time you went up on stage. So that was probably the coolest thing for me. And we did so much, man, at that. We got lucky that we got to play with certain people, but my best memory was when I thought we were technically on the show. So we were playing Sin 13. We're opening up for Pissing Razors. Yeah, and wow. I remember you walking in with the camera, right? And yeah. It was mid-song. I'm mid-lyric. I go down to jam. Uh-huh. I turn around and I look at the drummer and I said, "We made it, dude." And I was at that point, I was we're done. We're going. I was we're going to be on Rob's. It's done. And I remember seeing you in the crowd and you were yeah. And I was this is it. This is what I want. This is what I wanted for this entire run. So, but we had quite a few memories, man. But that was probably my favorite one because it was so what?
Come on, Roger. You're already on the show. You don't have to humble me so much. But that's great, man. So after Hazik, did you continue, or was there a point where you kind of got out of music for a little bit?
I stayed around for a while. I was in a couple of bands. I was in a band called October in Oslo. I was in a band called A Day of Bloodshed. But I did kind of take a step back for a while, man. And I was still involved in the scene, but it was because I was really close with Jim and Tom Meek. They kind of kept me in the scene just because they were my big brothers, like, and they kept me around. I was lucky enough for, to be around them, and Jim kept me behind a microphone, and Tommy kept me on stage. So I was lucky. We started doing some cover stuff, and so I was able to still perform and let out that that anger I had in me. But Jim kind of really he taught me a lot of things, and that's kind of how I got away from the metal scene. Not away from it, but me actually just screaming all the time, and he made me explore that other side of me, for sure.
That was gonna be my next question, because obviously now with what I'm hearing with Brave the Elements and some of your other new projects, is that I hear a few different voices that you can do now, and you can kind of do them all pretty damn good. So obviously you worked a lot, and Jim kind of helped you a lot to develop your voice and stuff.
Absolutely. But the stuff that you're hearing right now, that was Damien. That was Mac. And that was Clifton, man. I mean, they pushed me in so many ways. They challenged me in so many ways. Mac and Damien taught me how to be an actual singer, and I think that, like, without them, that would not sound anywhere near the way it sounds, and the performance they got out of me. And then having Cliff come in and really be like, man, he has an ear that, dude, he can hear things that I've never even thought of in my life. And I'm like, what? And Mac, he can make a single in 30 seconds and be like, sing it like this, and that's the, you know what I mean? And Damien just, I mean, he's just a songwriting machine, man. He really is. So I got lucky, man. I got lucky that all of them played a really big part in this album.
The team out there at Stone Creek has been something that I've been hearing about for many years now, and Cliff has been over a couple times, and I think you hit it right on the head. Like, Cliff is a great engineer, and Damien's the songwriter, and Mac's just the mastermind. So it seems to be all working well. I love all the stuff that's coming out from Stone Creek. So you alluded to this a little earlier, how you kind of met Mac from back, but how did you really kind of get involved with Stone Creek to kind of segue into the Brave the Elements music?
So when Hazik did their last EP, we did it at Rap City, which was Mac's spot at the time. He was just wrapping up with Panic Division, and we kind of got him at the right time. And we had just finished up what I thought was an incredible demo. And we went into the office, he put it on, and he said, listen to the first 30 seconds of four of the songs, and was like, we can make it sound better here. And I was like, what? And I was like, so ever since then, we ended up working with Tavis from Panic Division, and Anthony, who's still working with Mac, and we never heard anything like it. It was so cool working with them, but I stayed in it, and I got into Stone Creek because I was lucky enough that Mac, let me stick around, and he let me, be a part of his life, man. We stay connected, throughout the years. And then when I moved out of San Antonio and moved back, he was the first person that kind of reached out and said, dude, you need to come check out my new spot. And I think he was maybe like 2-3 weeks in max. And I was one of the first people to see the finished product. So I just got lucky, man. And it was just by coincidence, he had a project that he was thinking about. He's like, I hear your voice on this, and it just so happened to be Dame. And I was like, what? How did this happen? Because Dame and I had known each other forever, from back in the Manasaro days.
Yowzla.
Yeah, and we had been in the scene, and we had been friends for so long, but never worked together. And as soon as he put us in a room together, we connected immediately.
Right.
And in every way.
I think one of the great things about Mac Damon is that he just doesn't do like metal and rock. He does everything.
Exactly right.
So he's able to kind of take some of the best elements of the other music that he does and bring it into the heavy side where, we're all ruffians and we just like it heavy all the time. But at the same time, if, when I talk to bands, I'm like, what's the ultimate goal here? Is it just to satisfy your artistic needs, or is it to really make a career and be successful in music, in the music industry, or maybe just a little bit of both, And I think Mac has a good grasp on what it takes to get your music to the next level.
He does, man. The beauty of all of it, man, is that they're not just really good at their jobs; they're just good people, man. And they set good examples. And Mac especially, he really treated me like a nephew, like a little brother. Like he put me under his, and he made sure that I was happy. He knew that I could do better, and I was I've always been real. I've never been very confident in my vocal abilities, songwriting ability. I always thought that my strongest point was being on stage and going up there, jumping around and entertaining people. Mm-hmm. I never considered myself to be a good singer, and Mac just kept me around. He saw something in me, and he pulled it out he really did. Him and Damien pulled that stuff out of me, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them, man. I really wouldn't.
So let's talk about your EP that will come out hopefully later this year. The project is called Brave the Elements. Talk a little bit about that name. What does that name mean for you?
Well, for Damon and I, we had a concept. We wanted to put an album together that kind of reflected back on the recent years in our lives. Because we had gone through so many similar situations.
You guys have gone through a lot of shit.
I know. I know. And we were going back and forth for a long time. Actually, we were going to call the project Reflections.
Oh, okay.
And we were kind of going back and forth, and he was like, it needs to be something simple, but something that means something. He said, what about Brave the Elements? It means to survive. Yeah. And I was like, we have been surviving. So that was kind of the concept. So then we thought, well, we wanted to put together an album that had a different kind of rock song, like a metal song, a rock song, a poppy rock song, an experimental song. And we wanted it to reflect on situations and, things that happened to us in our lives. And we just got in a groove. And I think we did that well. I think that, when we dropped the last couple of songs, you're going to see that every song is different. Yeah. Every song is about something. It's about something different, but it's also, it's put in a way where anyone could take it any other way, and that's what we want. We want people to take it for what they feel, however they can connect to it, whether it's a relationship, whether it's just a relationship with themselves. A lot of the album I tried to write about myself, because I've never done that. I've always written about, I would always have a good line or a concept and write about that concept, not necessarily about, a relationship or me. So I really wanted to try to do something about me. So a lot of the songs you'll hear, it's like, you're this, and you're that, and I'm here. When I'm saying I'm talking about me. Yeah. And so it's not necessarily I'm like, hey, this and that, but we left it open like that because we want people to connect. And I think what we went through this past couple of years, it just poured out of us, and we were so in sync, not just lyrically, but just vocally. We were, and every time, like, we wrote all these songs within 3 months. Like, we were knocking them out, and Dame was like, got this, and then we'd sit there, write a line, get in the booth, sing it 100 times, come back out, let's do it again. And that's kind of how we just pieced the whole thing together. And it in my opinion, it captured a different side of both of us.
Several months ago, I was privy to hear a couple of tracks, and thank you so much for sending those over. And I remember when I heard them, I was like, I'm like, whoa. I said, let me hear that again. I was so taken back, bro. I mean, those songs are like fucking amazing. I loved kind of like the riffage and the kind of like the mid tempo, and then your voice laying over all of that, man. It was just a beautiful thing. And I was like, man, like I put it on my phone right away so I could jam it. And I'll tell you, and I kid you not, man. I listened to that EP like every day, like at least 3 or 4 times. I mean, I go through all four songs like in about 25 minutes. So like, you know, I listen to it at least 3 or 4 times a day, bro. I kid you not. I love those songs. So the tracks I got were In Your Eyes. That was like the first kind of single, right? Yeah. And then Amnesia. And then my favorite song was the Corrosion song. We talked off camera a little bit about how high of a level that song is. And then 2, Tidal Wave. I love Tidal Wave too. And 2, like, you know, musically and you know, just rhythmically, they're great songs. But I also connect a lot with the lyrics and what it says and about betrayal and, you know, love and finding yourself and all that stuff. It really hits home with me because, and I think those are themes that many people, or many of us, most of us, all of us can really relate to, because we've all been hurt, you know, in a variety of different ways. So as we talk about the kind of the recording, obviously you did the vocals. Who else kind of played on these songs?
So I got lucky, man. I got to connect with Steven from Donella Drive.
Yo, Steven!
That's my boy. And those are my boys, man. Yeah, those are my boys. I love them.
I'm going to say this, too. His Donella Drive and my Donella Drive was not a coordinated effort. It just fucking happened.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Those guys, I've been a big fan of theirs for so long. But
Steven, who plays with Donella Drive.
Steven, in particular, man, is probably the best. And I played with some really good drummers. I was with Tommy. You know, he was incredible. He is incredible. Yeah. I've been surrounded by some really good musicians. I just got lucky. My boy Rufo from Hazik, probably the best technical drummer I've ever even met in my life. But Steven has everything in his arsenal. And he has a touch. He has a flair to him. When you hear any song, you're like, that's Steven. And I got lucky that he was willing to do it.
He's like the praying mantis. Like you don't see him doing all this shit. He's just like,
yeah, dude. Right? And he's fucking, and he has a melody to him that he has like a bounce. Like he doesn't even have to try. He just sits there and it just like, damn.
He was telling me he listens to rap and all kinds of shit.
Why? You can hear it in his playing, dude. And then he does like a crazy off time fucking roll, and you're like, what the fuck did he do? So yeah, I got lucky, man. And Dame did he did everything else. He did all
guitars,
everything. Damien did everything.
Let me ask you, I have a question. Did Damien record these songs using that Pearl ESP guitar of his?
He used a couple. He did one.
Did he use that one? Does he still have that one?
He still has that one, yeah.
Damien, I still want that guitar. I know you'll never let me have it.
He used a couple, man. We got lucky because, you know, we had so many good people. And that was the thing about, I really did get lucky, man. All of them were so close to me that they all put their hand on it. Everybody, you know, had a saying in every single song. And then Amnesia, that was all Mac. I had one idea, and the next day he's like, come over. Composed the entire thing, did drums, arrangement. He did things that I was just like, holy shit. Like, I just got lucky, man, that they all went in there and they put a lot into it. And I want to tell you, I think I would hope that it was because of me, but no, it's just because they're just good at their job, man. They really, really are. And
I know you say I'm so lucky, but I think, honestly, people just like you, man. You're just a great guy. You have this, to me, like you have this, you know, inner glow about you, and it's attractive, and people, you know, like you, and you want to help and support people you like. So, people want to work hard and support people that, you know, they think are deserving, especially in the kind of crazy world that we live in now. I don't come across a lot of people like you.
I appreciate
So that's why myself, I was like excited about doing this interview finally and talking about your music. Now, you've sent me the 4 tracks that I got. You've sent me the 4 tracks, but at the same time, I've gotten like several versions of the same song. Tidal Wave, I have them in my phone, like Tidal Wave 2, Corrosion 2. So these different versions, have you kind of finalized yet which ones are going to be like the ones on the EP?
Yeah, we have. We're still kind of we're in the mixing process of Tidal Wave, but everything else it's done. Yeah, everything else is done. And those 2 songs, because of the way Corrosion was, and how much attention it got, and it really did set the bar, for us.
Right.
We knew that we had to make it right and do it right. So that's really what we're trying to do, and I think that we did. And you're gonna hear, man. And then I think what's gonna be really cool is listening to it all at once, because it's gonna go in different. Right. It's gonna take you on a ride. In my opinion, I hope that it does. And it was all because of them, man. It really, really was. Like they did it. They did it all. They did all the work, man. They really, really did. I just did what they told me to do. So I got lucky, man. I really did.
When do you anticipate for the release to be out? Okay, let me ask that question in a different way, because I know that may not be entirely up to you. But when would you like it out?
My goal.
Like last week?
Yeah, my goal is about 3 weeks.
That soon?
That's my goal.
Oh, then this interview's perfect.
That's my goal, man. Because really, we're just mixing. We're just finalizing stuff. But we're also writing new material.
Yeah,
so Damon and I.
That's for the next one.
Correct. It's for the next one.
All
So
right, cool.
it's So we're always working. I try to always keep working, keep busy. As you can tell, I'm trying to do a lot, and it's just because I really do like to work and push myself and do all that stuff. But 3 weeks is the goal.
Will the EP have a title, or will it just be called Brave the Elements?
It's gonna be called Reflections.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
All right.
yeah,
Now I know.
absolutely.
Now you know. Cool, man. I can't wait for it to come out. So it's gonna be out like on all digital outlets and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna press a couple vinyls for some friends. Yeah. I'm thinking about some hard copies.
Dude, if you give me one, I'll put it up. I won't even fucking open it.
I swear to God.
I'll put it up in my room.
I swear to God. That's so I'm gonna do it, and I promise you're gonna get one. I promise you're gonna get one. So
Awesome.
yeah, that's my goal to have a couple vinyls,
Yeah.
and then see what happens, see where it takes us.
Would in this age, just because we're so savvy with everything and all the technology, is it important for you, or do you ever think about like, maybe you might try to get a deal with an indie label and distribute it across the country? Is that important?
I mean, growing up as a kid, that was always the dream.
Yeah.
That was always the goal. But
Getting a record deal.
But honestly, man, this is the first album that I've ever really done about me. I did it just for me. I didn't do it as much as I wanted to. I would love to be on stage again. I would love to, because that was that's really what I love the most. But being in the studio and being around other people in that kind of setting was really what the goal was. And if people connect to it, that's a win-win, and if someone were to do it, great. But it's nothing that I'm not like, oh man, I really want, I'm gonna try, and I'm gonna, if it happens, it happens. I really did it because
To fulfill that inner
absolutely, man,
desire,
and
artistic desire. Yeah.
and I was just surrounded by the right people. That's really what it was.
I think now because of the tenure that you're at, you sought and fulfilled the live artistic desire, and now you've able to fulfill that writing and the recording type of desire that you had, and have accomplished that with this EP. Now, off camera, we talked about doing shows, and I'd love to see you do a fucking show. I'd love to see you on stage singing these songs. How realistic is that at this point?
We've been talking about it for a while. You know, my boys from Donella Drive, you know, they're definitely supportive, and they have been, you know, since day one.
Well, shit, Steven played on the record. You might as well play the song, play the songs with you.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him and Drew on. You know what I mean?
Drew,
dude, that's
master bass player.
bro, the best bass player I've ever fucking heard in my life.
I think I've heard of that dude.
Yeah, dude. I mean, by far the best bass player, man. In every way, he's such a good
Who's
dude.
gonna play guitar, Damien?
I hope. I'm trying. Maybe we'll see.
Damien, I know you're gonna watch this interview, and I'm gonna tell you, straight from El Mero Metal, you have to do these shows with Roger. You have to. It would be something quite special to see you back on stage. And when I heard these songs, I knew it was you. I knew it was you because I know your tone and I know how you write. So, God willing, you'll find the strength within to come on out and be on stage and play that ESP Pearl guitar that I like.
And he's really the reason why that, in my opinion, the songs came out so like strong vocally. Like
he's a great singer too.
Bro, he made me push myself emotionally. Like it got to where, in my opinion, especially like In Your Eyes, you can hear the emotion on a lot of the tracks, on a lot of the choruses. Tidal Wave, once that one hits, in my opinion, like that was the deepest song for both of us. And he,
I love that song.
man, he did some things that he made me do things that I never thought I could do in my life. And I'm lucky that I got to work with him like that, and I'm grateful, man, every single time. So
let's say the EP drops in a month. How soon afterwards would you like to maybe book a show? Let's say the pandemic blows over by the fall, sometime later this fall. You think?
Ideally, yeah. In a perfect world, I'd love to do that. I'd really love to do that. You know, it just kind of depends on how everything goes. I know that the guys will learn the material quick, especially if it's Dame. But you know, I know that it'll be easy. It's just about, you know, getting the right people, man, because we really would like to do it the right way. And you know, I'm trying to stay busy too, so I'll probably be doing some other stuff too here pretty quick. So
Videos. Yeah, I think, you know, the video medium is so important, and I think, you know, especially when you have like really deep songs, having a killer ass video that kind of reflects that is important. You were talking about, we were off camera about, Rob, we're gonna do a video. Talk a little bit about what you kind of foresee for that.
So right now, we'd really like to do a music video for both Amnesia and Tidal Wave. Tidal Wave obviously would be, since it's the band, the heavy one, I would get some people to stand in, and I got my boys from Donella Drive to all agree to stand in for me. And because, you know, the good looks, you know what I mean? So I had to have them there, you know. So
4 dudes in a band that are all good looking. Well, Aiden, okay. Aiden's kind of like okay, but the rest of the guys are good looking.
Well, I mean, I think, you know, they're the ones that are gonna shine, man. So like, they're the ones, man. But that's the goal right now. And then Amnesia, we'll do more of a story kind of thing, because that one's you know, as you heard, it's a little more. It's just me, but we'll have like a storyline, and since it's a cover, we want to kind of do it the right way, and we want to make it real emotional, real deep, for sure. But the Tidal Wave is gonna be like a live band kind of feel, real dark.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, man, that's really what the goal is right now. So
well, cool, man. You know, I can't wait till the EP drops and people out there around the world will hear it. Remember, everyone. The EP will be called Brave the Elements. The title of the record will be called Reflections. Should be out later this fall from the man Roger Trevino and his counterparts at Stone Creek Sound. And then hopefully we'll get to see some video action and some shows. And before we move on, you know, I also think it's important to kind of talk about how artists kind of get to this point. You know, when you think about yourself as a young man, and you think about all your dreams and goals, and man, I want to do this, I want to get to this place. Look at this other guy, he's at this amazing place. how do I get there myself? And, personally, I think it takes a little time and it takes a little suffering and getting back up off your feet after you got knocked down. But I think individuals have to come to grips with themselves too and kind of realize like, hey, this shit's not working. When am I going to learn that what I'm doing is not working and I have to make changes? I'm getting there. You've made so many transformational changes in your life. And many of them don't even have to do anything with music. They just have to do like with your personal life and how you live. And, I know that, you live a clean lifestyle. I know that you're very, very aware of your health and you exercise. And I remember one time you came over here and you're like, oh, Rob, I got to go. I'm like, oh, ready? You're like, yeah, I get up at 4 a.m. to go work out. And that's what I was telling my friend the other day when I was talking about this interview. I said, this guy Roger, he's like, back in the day, he used to be like this little chubby kid. And now, like, he's like this rock solid dude. And he told me he gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go work out every day. And I can't even imagine the amount of discipline and willpower and mental strength that it takes to do those types of things. But my point is, and I don't mean to ramble, but the point is that when you do things like that on the back end, you see the results on the front end. And not only physically, but mentally, and then what you're doing artistically. Yeah. Share your thoughts on all that.
So, well, just to start off with the vocals, because that's probably the easiest one. I'd been doing metal for years, and I had 3 of my oldest, closest friends, Randy, Josh, and my boy Anthony, who every single time I would put anything out from Hazik, any other band prior to Brave the Elements, they'd be like, can you stop screaming so much and sing more, man? You have such a good voice. People love when you sing. Like, they want to hear you sing. But I was so insecure about my singing voice at that time. I was like, nah, and I was a mad guy, man. I was, I was living the metal life, Right. So they were the ones who really made me accept, and they made me reflect on myself and be like, maybe I should give this another run. And then Mac and Dane pulled that side out of me that I never thought. But those 3 guys right there, man, they're the ones who made me transform my vocal life, my music career, I guess you could say. But the physical side of it, man, that part of it took a while. I was 265 at one point. I got all the way down to 160, and it took a lot. I mean, mentally, the discipline part of it was the hardest part, the consistency. But now it's like a release for me, especially because like as much as I am doing a lot of music stuff, it's not to where I was, back in Hazik. Hazik, we're playing shows almost every weekend, traveling, whatever it was. And the working out part of it, man, for now, it's something that I need to stay sane. You know what I mean? Like, because it's hard, man. It's hard to do all this stuff and then, kind of reflect and self-reflect. And then, when you don't hit a goal, it takes a toll on you. Then especially recently with all the stuff, like the city shutting down, man, I got lucky that, I had people around me who kept me positive, like you, my family at the gym that I go to, the pit. They were just motivating, man. And I really do believe it's about the people that you surround yourself with. Like again, I'm only me because of the people that are around me. I mean, that's really what it is. My family, my friends are my family. And I got lucky that they were so supportive and that everyone knew. And even that day you were like, damn, like, even though you were like, that's crazy. Not once did you say, oh, nah, and I don't do. You were like supportive about it. Like, you know what I mean? And that's the biggest thing. And it's the hardest thing too, but it's it's the biggest thing for me. Like, everyone's been so supportive, and I got lucky, man. I got lucky to have people around me like that.
Well, I guess too, like, you know, once you started seeing the physical transformation, how did that affect your mentality? That made you more confident, no?
Yes and no, man. I'm the type is that if I hit a goal, I'm like, all right, what's next? All right, what's
You
next?
had a goal for tonight, didn't you? You're telling me?
I did, yeah. I mean,
I'm gonna be on Rob's Motors. I gotta weigh 185.
I did for the show. I gave myself a goal, and I luckily I hit
Your
it.
interview's gonna live on forever.
I did, man. So I try to keep pushing myself. But it definitely changed a lot of stuff for me, man. It made me want to venture out and, you know, do another show, do different types of music.
Yeah.
You know, it really just it changed me mentally. It really, really did, because I told myself, if I can do this, I mean, 100 pounds is crazy, man. I'm not 160 anymore. I wish I was, but
You're kind of normal.
yeah, well, yeah, I mean, yeah. So
Strawberry sugar strings.
yeah, we had a good time before that.
That was our party. Strawberry sugar strings.
Yeah, some peanuts. Sorry, man. But yeah, that's the hardest part, man. The dieting, the workout part of it. For me now, it's fun. Like, and it really is because of the environment. Like, I go and I genuinely have a good time, and I try to have a good time anywhere. But I mean, specifically with working out, like, it's kind of like me when I was on stage. You see me like jumping around. If you ask my friend at the gym, he's like, "Bro, you're jumping around, singing," and I'm like, I genuinely have a good time, and I enjoy it, man.
Now, as we get near to the end of this interview, just a couple of other things too. Aside from the Brave the Elements project, I know that you've been involved in a couple of other things too. The first one that kind of that I heard about, that you sent me a song from a band that you're working with called Horror on 24. Horror on 24, everybody. The song was called Phantom Dreams, and it's a rough, but still, you sent it to me, and I love to hear roughs. And the smart bands out there will send me the roughs so I can be in the know of what's going on, and I can talk about your band. And despite the fact that it was a rough, I still really dug it. It was heavy. It's very heavy, like really metal. And you know, it's kind of refreshing to hear a clean vocal over something heavy like that. And on a quick note, one of the bands that first adopted that kind of style from back in the early 90s was a band called Life of Agony. Yeah. And Keith Caputo used to sing really clean vocal over a lot of heavy stuff. Yep. Now Mina Caputo. But I love that. So talk a little bit about Hard 24. Is that going to be like a real band for you, or is that just something like a one-off that you kind of did?
No, I got picked up as the singer. So they had a singer prior who had recorded the entire album, and so they sent me what it did, and it was JoJo. He also used to sing for Donna LeChue. So he sang for Brotherhood.
Yeah, I was about to say, didn't
Brotherhood, yeah. Oh, and so he's an incredible singer, man. And so like they sent me his stuff, and to be honest with you, I was very, very iffy on getting back into that kind of style of music, but it's just in me, you know. So like I was like, I'll check it out. Yeah. The only reason, and not the only reason, but the main reason why I did it was because the stuff that JoJo did on it, I was so impressed with. I was like, damn, like like you said, it's like metal, but there's a lot of clean on there. Yeah. And so I thought to myself, man, if I can do that, like if I could just do it in my voice, that was something cool. So he had already did all the work. I just tried to go in there and match it. And he's really the reason why I did it, because his vocals on there were, I mean, beautiful, dude. Like, and I connected with a lot of it. So I sent them, you know, that one. They dug it, and they asked me to do the rest of the album. And so
but they never released the one with JoJo?
I think they released one song, Crystallize, and we'll probably redo that one later, but right now we're going to focus on the album that's already recorded. And we're pretty much done with that. that probably within the next 3 weeks too. I'm thinking that I'll be done with my side, and then we'll start mixing and all that
Is that
stuff.
going to be an EP or a full length?
I want to tell you it's like 7 songs.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah, so and it's super different, but because of what was already done, and again, I did it because it was something different, and I just wanted to. It was heavy, it kind of hit home for me. I connected, and I wanted to see if I could do it. So hopefully people will dig it, and I think it's real cool. So.
And those dudes are from San Antonio?
They are from San Antonio, man. They've been around for, I want to tell you, like a couple of years.
Okay.
They've been working with JoJo for about a year or so. But, yeah, man, they'd already had that stuff done. So I went in and knocked it out. So I wanted to stay in the studio. That was my thing. I wanted to keep working and working and working. Yeah. So I had an opportunity to, and I got lucky they let me do it.
I saw some of the press photos.
Yeah, yeah, that was fun too.
Some scary looking dudes there, that bad.
I was trying to be as metal as possible, and I thought to myself, "All right, man, that's what I do." And then I was like, I show up and I see what they're wearing. I was like, "Oh, I'm not metal at all. God, I'm not metal at all." Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So hopefully I'll hear some of that hard on 24 stuff soon. And then. Tonight, you sent me the track for the Daniel Bass compilation, of which I've kind of shared a little bit about. I shared a song that Julian Cruz sang on. And for some of you people who don't know about it, Daniel Bass is doing a compilation with many different singers, of which Roger is one. And Roger sent me the track that he's on called The Art of Murder. Amazing fucking song. Amazing fucking song. And I listened to it a couple of times before you got here. Then we listened to it again when you got here. And I really, really dig it, dude. It's so fucking cool. I mean, I think it might be, I don't know. I haven't heard any of the other songs, but I don't want to say anything yet. But hopefully soon, Julian, get me the full shit when you're ready. So I can hear it, but I really love that track. How did you kind of get involved with the Daniel Bass compilations?
So Julian and I have been friends since his enormity days. I don't know if you guys remember that, but yeah. Well, and it was back when like Danny from Upon a Burning Body was singing he was playing guitar and singing for a band called Silenced, and we all kind of knew each other. But from that day when we first had that first show, Julian and I stayed connected from there. So 17 years or so. But he had mentioned to me that he was doing some stuff, and we had done a couple of tracks together. He and I had jumped on some stuff a long time ago. But then he just reached out to me. He said, "Hey, would you be interested in doing this?" And I was like, "Bro, I'll do anything. I'm trying to jump on anything. I mean, ask anybody. If they ever say, I'm like, I'll sing that. I'll jump on that. Put me on the track." Like, I'm just trying to stay busy just because, I just like being in the studio and like working with other people. Like that's really what it is. But for that particular song, he goes, reach out to Daniel, right? So I did. Daniel, he listened to the Brave the Elements stuff, and he's like, "I got a perfect track for you." Sent it to me, and I was like, "Dude, this song is amazing." I said, "When can I come and start working?" He said, "Come next week." I went to his house. And I had already had a couple of ideas. Went in, did 3 takes, maybe 2 takes. And what you got, that's just one clean run through. He had pieced some stuff together, but from the 3 takes that we did. But it goes in so many different directions. I was like, dude, I love this song so much. Like, and I got lucky. Julian, he kept me. He's always kind of been telling me, do something else. So, again, man, it kind of happened to me, and I got lucky, and I was able to put something on it, and hopefully everyone will dig it. It's definitely a heavy one, but it's also like pretty different. Yeah, it's pretty different. So I'm excited for that track too, and I'm excited. Hopefully Daniel and I will do some more because I felt the same way about that song. I thought he did a great job.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to hear the rest of it, because I know lots of really cool singers going to be on that compilation. So man, I think we've covered the whole gamut tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. you, man. It's an honor, man. You don't even understand how much of an honor. I tell you this all the time, and I almost feel like, but I honestly do. I mean that, man. You've been so supportive, and it was a dream come true when you told me how much you liked that track. I couldn't believe it. Like, and I've always felt that way. You've always been someone I've looked up to, and it seriously is an honor, and it's a dream come true just to be right here with you. Even that first day when I came over here, and I wasn't even behind the camera, I wasn't on the mic, nothing. We were just talking and hanging out. Yeah. I thought to myself, he invited me, right? Like, I fucking have to go. I remember telling you, like, I had to change my schedule around. I was like, I don't care. Like, I mean, I'm going. To know that you liked the songs as much as you did, it was an achievement for me that I'll never be able to explain to you, man. I really, really do appreciate it. I really do, from the bottom of my heart.
Well, like I told you tonight, I said I'm a fan, dude. I'm a fucking fan. I mean, that's why, you know, I wanted you here, and that's why I wanted to share you and your music with all our fans out there who watch Rob's MetalWorks, so that they too can jump on board and be fulfilled and live richer lives through great music. Roger, any last words, anything that I missed, anything that you want to share with people around the world who will watch this interview?
And I just want to say thank you, man. We got so much support from, you know, the first two singles. I really check out the songs, man. Tell me what you think. I can't thank Mac, Damien, Cliff, you know, all my family, my friends. They've been so supportive, and to see how much they really like this, it's something that you don't understand what it means to me. I know that I try to joke a lot and, you know, have a good time, but like from the bottom of my heart, man, it means so much to me, and I'll never be able to explain what it's done for me personally, and because I've done this for so long, like, and I've never gotten the response that I've gotten because of, you know, until now, and because of these tracks. And you know, I hope that everybody digs it, and you know, I hope that, you know, you can connect to something we're doing, and know that any other musicians out there, I'm hungry. I'm trying to work. You guys you want me on a track, man? Just ask me, because I really want to keep working, man. I was lucky enough to be reconnected with music, and you know, the scene is incredible right now, and everybody's really, really coming together, and I hope that we keep it going. And again, I hope that you guys enjoy it, and I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for all the support. Thank you so much.
The fulfillment is such a beautiful feeling, and two, the fact that you get to continue the passion and the love for your art. That's the second part. So remember, everyone out there, God, what a beautiful chat tonight that I really have been anticipating for a long, long time, ever since I first met this man. Don't forget, his name is Roger Trevino. Look him up on social media. The brand new EP called Brave the Elements, from Brave the Elements, called Reflections, will be out hopefully within the next month or two. Be sure to keep your eyes open for it. If you follow Rob's MetalWorks on Facebook, you'll definitely see the links and the information on it. Remember, you saw the man, Roger Trevino, only on Rob's